Hi, how's it? In the name of Christ, how you doing? It's your girl, Karabo. I hope you're good, I hope you're peachy, I hope you're Stella, and I hope you're in a neat little bunch. If you're not, welcome to the party. Is that just not the story of our lives? I guess it is imperative to just start with that introduction because it's just what I'm used to doing. So today's the 19th of March, 2025. I don't have a timestamp down there because I'm not using the timestamp camera. I prefer to record already on a camera that already has makeup because I have to urgently get this out. I can't run this through UCam Perfect. I can't run it through an application for makeup because I have to urgently get this out there. All that I'm going to be removing are silences. There will be no captions. There will be pretty much all the editing that I tend to do. I'm not going to be doing it today because I have to get this out there because something has just happened as at today, the 19th of March 2025. It is presently 20:36 in terms of the time, and I have just endured something just horrific and shocking. Listen, okay, I was really just kind of beating around the bush, doing a whole bunch, like, I've been reclining my chair, I've been sitting. The last video that I posted as of this morning that I basically shared, I said in it that I'm just going to sit back and wait for the Trump administration with Elon Musk, his Doge mission, everything that he's doing they are all doing for America to basically happen. And so therefore I'm not going to be posting as frequently. But this is pretty much an urgent message. I intended to post another, like within the next couple of days, I was going to post, if anything, the next video. The next batch of content that I was going to post maybe like on Saturday or Sunday, whenever I'm just ready, okay? Yeah, I'm sorry for blowing my nose in front of you. The next batch of content that I was going to post was pretty much to explain how in the world it is that people are going to get dragged out of companies where they work, how they're going to get arrested and all that jazz. Essentially just face comeuppance. That was the next batch of prophecy that I was going to give. And I recorded that somewhere in January, like long ago. It is presently known that I am posting content pretty much at snail's pace because there's no reason for me to post for a band of miscreants. But I am posting this as urgently as I am going to post it because of something that has just happened. And I'm going to share it. In spite of having nothing but a band of miscreants looking at me. Mamelang, listen, okay? YouTube. YouTube as a company, as a corporation. YouTube as a going concern. YouTube as a going concern is not doing this to me. I am literally infinitesimal. I am insignificant. I'm microscopic, barely noticeable. I am just bubblegum on the bottom of the shoes of YouTube. And so for those reasons, I'm not about to go out and blame an entire organization because there was a time when I thought that YouTube was doing this to me. There was a time when I imagined that social media companies were doing this to me. But then I woke up and smelled the coffee and realized that, I'm sorry, no, it's not YouTube. It does absolutely nothing for me to accuse an entire social media platform for harassing a person that is this microscopic, right? The only reason at all why a content creator would be followed around by moderating teams on YouTube is if they create any kind of dent. I will give you an example. For instance, when you edit your content on certain video editors that award you what appears to be free library music, free music, sorry, when they award you free music, or at least when you edit your content on a video editor, you tend to assume that once you put this content on YouTube or wherever it is that you may put it on social media, that it's going to be okay, that you're not going to get a copyright strike or whatever, because why would a video editor allow availability for a video? Sorry, for a music clip, a sound bite or whatever, to be on their platform, on their video editing platform. If at all, YouTube and everywhere else where you could post the stuff would copyright that stuff. That was an assumption that was made at some point, but as I've grown as a content creator to putting stuff online, I have come to learn that sometimes when you edit on platforms like Filmora or CapCut or Vidma or whatever, there may be sounds that are they are there available in the library in the video editing application. But the moment you post them on YouTube, you'll get like not so much a strike, a copyright strike, but you might get a message coming from YouTube saying that this has a red tick on checks, right? Copyright checks, there's a red tick next to this for copyright purposes, but the content creator allows you to use the little clip on YouTube. They allow you to use it on YouTube. Alright, so I came to then pretty much make a conclusion, seeing as I'm broke, I don't have money, right? So I cannot be buying services like, what is it, epidemic sound or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Really, if I want to escape copyright potential issues in the future, if I want to escape potential copyright issues in the future, I would have to use either the YouTube music that's on the library there, that's like, you know, that's not going to give you given grief, or epidemic sound, like pretty much subscribe to a platform like Epidemic Sound so you can use whatever little sounds are on them. But I don't have any such music, so I always just go out on a limb and test anyway. What is this, like on CapCut or wherever it is that I'm editing, using that sound. And if I get a check on my checks in my copyright space, I tell myself that, okay, I'm never going to use this ever again, because I have an inherent understanding that while I am still a minuscule, microscopic, negligible, and infinitesimal content creator, while I am still going absolutely nowhere, while my legs are closed in on all sides and incarcerated, I will always be non-threatening. I will always be non-threatening to anyone at all that has gotten in their sound studio and recorded a little sound bite and seen it fit to sell it to, or put it on the platform of, to promote themselves, allowed the usage of, to promote themselves, their little sound bite by content creation platforms, by video editing platforms. So they've allowed Filmora to use it, they've allowed CapCut to use it, they've allowed whatever, but there is always something in it for them, right? And nobody creates anything for free, or at least largely. The gospel is free. Jesus Christ gives you the gift of salvation for absolute mahala. There is nothing that you pay for it. That's a wonderful thing, but we live in a world of exploitation and of exchange, of quid pro quo, of I scratch my back, your back, you scratch mine. There is nothing for mahala. So human beings, given that we have been built by God to work by the sweat of our brow, know that we need to get money for our hard labor's worth. Otherwise, we're going to feel robbed in some kind of way. Therefore, even though the content creator might allow your content to be used on YouTube, there is always something at the back burner of content creators when they signed this disclaimer with content creation companies, with video editing companies, to allow content creators to use their little sound bites on their platforms. They know that once you blow up, once you become a bit of a Russell Brand, a Candace Owens, and Ellie Beth Stuckey, once you become a, who is this gentleman? Daniel LaBelle, once you become Kabi Lame or any other prolific content creator, once you become Mr. Beast, and you decide to use that little sound bite without being on Epidemic Sound or whatever, everybody gotta collect a paycheck at the end of the day. Everybody gotta collect some kind of handsome fee at the end of the day. So the moment your video goes from one little tiny negligible view to 100,000 not so tiny negligible views, when you start to basically bring in some kind of a voluminous crowd, when you start to bring in some kind of a seemingly lookable base that can actually get you paid ad revenue, that's when what under normal circumstances was a happy to just let you use their soundbite musician, like artist or whatever, that let you, since they allowed their video, their little soundbite to be on Filmora, for instance. You use it, YouTube tells you, content creator allows you to use this in the future, on their platform. But if your video should arguably be making like Russell Brand, and within like 3 hours, you're sitting on like 500,000 views, something ridiculous like that, you will suddenly find this content creator rearing their ugly head. That's why sometimes YouTubers will literally have no copyright strikes for like a good 2 years. Next thing, bah, they've got somebody coming out of the woodworks after telling them that, yo, you've used my content and this here, I'm striking you for it, blah, blah, blah. Only to find that this person, the content creator, will then at the back end contact the content creator, the little soundbite creator, the musician, the artist, the person who did the soundbite, the sound clip, and they will talk between them to negotiate, remove the strike, retract their decision to get this person given a strike in exchange, usually by gentleman's agreement in the back end, in exchange for revenue share, okay, on that video. You use my little music bite for however much revenue you've gotten as at this time, even if you do remove the sound and replace it with YouTube sound. as at this point, whatever revenue you have to give me like 20%, 30%, 40%, and then next thing, the case blows over. It goes away, the content creator is cool, the strike is removed, they're no longer in hot water, and they can carry on again. The reason why they do that, these little musicians that are struggling artists trying to make money from these gargantuan social media platforms, the reason why they allow a bit of a filmora or whatever to just freely put their little clips on their platforms for us to just peruse and choose to use, it's because they are hedging, much like the same way that you would in insurance. They are hedging for the prospect of somebody using their little soundbite that is a content creator that very potentially might be a Mr. Beast, that very potentially might be some prolific person of the future, or a nobody that tomorrow has just gone violently viral. And so therefore they've amassed for themselves within 3 days 30,000 subscribers just from one video. They have gone on right ahead and almost hit 1 billion views in like a month. Like, they are crazy, overnight famous for a silly little clip that used my little soundbite. So this content creator will rise up out of the woodworks out of nowhere every time that their little trippy gets used. They do have some kind of awareness, but there could be so many people using their little trippy that it's like, it's not worth it. Like, because who are they? Karabo. Yeah. Who is using my little clip for music? Karabo, whatever. She's got like 5 subscribers on YouTube and like literally half a person watching. And even then for 2 seconds only, so I don't care. Let her do what she wants to do. But the moment Karabo Aja be like giving prolific, the moment she starts to get proliferated and spikes in her views and all that jazz, the moment Karabo starts to do that, this person who under normal circumstances considers just as ignorable as she is, Karabo, to be just that ignorable, he will stop ignoring her, he will knock on her door, he will get YouTube to strike her for copyright, do you understand? And then when you negotiate with the striking, with the person that highlighting this as an issue for you using their clip or whatever, you'll then come to learn that all they want is a piece of the pie. All they want to leave you alone, to be merry, to go in the future and bounce up and down on a beach ball into the sunset and soar like a bird is for you to just give them a good 40% of what you made as at the date that you used their clip. Then they go and they pay their rent with the money that you make off your content. So they are hedging. They're just hoping that out of all the people on Filmora, all the people on CapCut, all the people on Final Cut Pro that use that clip, they are hoping that out of all of those people, there will at least be one gem. There will be one that's going to go so crazy viral on a social media platform that I'm going to literally be able to pay my rent 1 month because they went viral and I decided to copyright strike them. While for the same little soundbite, Karabo, negligible, no-brainer, whatever, let's just squish her in a corner like a fly. Yeah, we don't care. I don't care if she uses my little thingy, because really, if her little 5 subscriber big channel on YouTube disappears, ain't nobody gonna miss it, nobody's gonna know, and she's not gonna be too broken, too bereft, too devastated if her channel gets deleted because of a copyright strike, because it's small and ain't nobody seeing it anyway, it's going nowhere. But you see, content creation is like, how can I describe it? It is this thing that a lot of people, when they started, are not necessarily intentional in creating some kind of an empire for themselves or a brand. A lot of times they are just playing around, they're dancing, they're dilly-dallying, they're experimenting. It's a free platform to upload, you don't have to pay a premium, you don't have to subscribe to post anything on YouTube, you just gotta have Wi-Fi, you gotta have internet, and you're good. So yeah, insofar as you can sit in a mall and post some silly little video, you could end up making a whole bunch of money from something that was not intended to become anything worthwhile. So a lot of content creators, not all of them, there are many who intentionally create YouTube channels, Facebook, whatever. There are many content creators that intentionally create social media platforms for the very purpose of literally starting a business with it. Like, they hope it's going to become something lucrative. One day in the future, they're actually trying to create a job out of social media. But the grand majority of us, Lejos and Lejanes, when we post something on YouTube, when we post something on Twitter, when we post something on Facebook, we're just like, I have the right to exist in the World Wide Web, and I've got internet, so hey, how about we just kind of plonk something on there? And then we plonk something on there, and lo and behold, by the amazing grace of God, every so often you hit a bullseye. Every so often you get gargantuan. So content creators that start out that way, who really don't intend to be a full-time content creator, make out of it a career, make out of it a business, they come to learn pleasantly as they are surprised that, oh my goodness, like, whoa, this stuff can be actually quite lucrative. They start getting emails like, do you want to join the YouTube partnership program? Do you want to join the Facebook monetization program? And then they're like, of course, like, who doesn't want to make money? Like, I'm out of being a doofus. I'm out of being a dofty, creating some random whatever lackluster thing, and it can make me money. Cool, like proper, like, yeah, I'm okay. I wasn't expecting to get anything for this, so if I'm gonna get even 5% revenue share, I don't care. It's pocket change. It's pocket change. And then this pocket change ends up becoming, especially if you're like a high school student or a university student that is still dependent on parents, it literally can end up setting you up in an apartment and buying you a car because you got that prolific. You got that gangster huge. And so you start to realize that, oh my, maybe I don't have to finish my BCom accounting degree, or once I finish it, I don't have to enter into corporate South Africa. Perhaps I can become a creative for life. And so it awards people an opportunity to do exactly what it is that they've always wanted to do. You know that saying, do what you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. They end up doing what they've always wanted to do and they now get paid for it, so they don't have to be bored by the mundane, bureaucratic rat race of a corporate 9 to 5. So it is the saving grace of many people who start out just, being silly and nutty in a university dorm room, only for them to realize that this could actually be a lifelong career. So many content creators happen upon content creation careers by happenstance, by mistake, like out here recording strange stuff in your bathroom, and then booyah, you're like a whole hair vlogger and you've got 200,000 subscribers on the tube. Very well. Okay, so given that most of us don't start trying to do this, but then it becomes your baby, an advanced or a latter appreciation for the craft of content creation tends to over time then incrementally build in you skills, very hard, not prolific ones at that, of videography, video editing, almost like you went to AFDA or something, okay? When the stuff starts to basically look like you could be doing this for life, when the stuff starts to become like you could be basically doing this for life, you then graduate over from merely just playing around with a fuzzy video that you are posting that has no real, video quality, but strangely people are to be taking it up anyway, watching it anyway, to investing. You watch on YouTube, even content creators whose core speciality, whose niche is to train other content creators on how to create content, how to proliferate your particular message, how to do shorts, how to test if your short is the right height, duration, how to edit, what is the best video editor. You basically go into what we call market research, okay? In the same way that you as a university, not a university student, but as a high school student that is about to finish matric and are still quite confused, you're not one of those kids that knew from the time you were 2 years old that you wanted to be a doctor, but you're still out, you're toggling with your options, you don't know what to do when you get to grade 11, but you gotta apply for varsity now, you gotta make a decision, because, at some point you gotta make that decision. Yeah, that's what's good. Well, even though you were not planning on becoming something, you then dive into research, seeing as everybody needs a future. Everybody, somewhere along the way as their lives progress, develop or establish new interests. And if you develop and you're not everybody, many people, they develop new interests. And when you develop a new interest and it really, really intrigues you, you then start to invest in it. Okay? You start to invest in it. So you might not have wanted to be a doctor from the time that you were 7 years old. But if you watch enough House MD, and if you watch enough Grey's Anatomy, and if you watch enough Good Doctor, if you watch enough of these medical shows and then you get crazy inspired by the work of these acting profession doctors, you could, even though you were planning on doing marketing after matric, you could decide that you're going to apply at Medusa. You could decide that you're going to apply at Wits Med School because somebody motivated you. You could have watched enough dermatologists on YouTube that inspired you and you loved how it is that they're just so knowledgeable on transforming skin, enabling skin issues alone, that you are like, okay, I'm going to be a dermatologist, even though initially you wanted to be an accountant. Once you establish an interest in something, that's when you then start to go into deep diving, you start to enter into research. You start to basically nitpick away at this industry, this particular new niche, this new subject matter expert, this new subject matter within which you want to be an expert, and you start out a novice, right? You start out rudimentary. You start at the very bottom, out here tying shoelaces like ones and twos, as opposed to being quite the prolific shoelace tire. And you then build your way up from there, just as with any career in, be it corporate or whatever space that you find yourself in. You tend to get in there You tend to get in there dazed with a world of wonder around you that is full of inquiry, and it's for you to tap into and figure out what's going on in that little hole, right? Yeah. And then you hopefully get to a point where you're not decisive. You have, converged your decision. I personally, for instance, when I was in high school and primary, pretty much all my life, I didn't know what I wanted to be. Still to this day, all right? I didn't know what I wanted to be. I took certain subjects that became highly recommended that guaranteed or promised to guarantee me a stable financial future. I took mathematics, like subjects like maths and science, things that would usher people into what are called guaranteed to be profitable careers. So with the subject said, I could become an astrophysicist, I could become a biochemist, I could become an accountant, I could become a marketer, I could become a psychologist, I could become anything I wanted to be. I could become an actuary. So I just took the kind of subjects that would not restrict me as to what I wanted to apply for. But lo and behold, you take your electives in grade 10 in high school. Lo and behold, by the time I got to matric, I was still looking around in the sky on some, I really don't know what I want. I don't know what I want. I was still like that at first year varsity, second, third. The only time that I finally converged my interests, even though I just studied a whole plethora of strange things at varsity because, again, I was confused, was when I was now on the job. I was now working as a project manager in corporate South Africa, program manager in corporate South Africa. And I developed this feverish covetousness, if you will, like an envy of certain careers in my space. I was not in the environment that I wanted to be in, but I was working with people that were where I wanted to be at. I was gazing longingly and lovingly into especially management consulting type marketing teams that are full of auditing and insights gathering. I've already given you my story as to what it is that I came to ultimately figure out was the main job that I was supposed to gun for. So if from high school I had known about management consulting and what it is it involved therein, it would have been great because I would have just done a general business degree and work like a dog inside corporate South Africa to try and make it into management consulting. But if I had stayed in corporate South Africa, that would have been the job for me. That would have been the job that would have given me the best work satisfaction because it involved lots of innovation, lots of insights gathering, and recommendation. Very diagnostic. I love to, I've spoken about this before, to diagnose matters on the ground, but I'm too squeamish to become a doctor. I hate blood and all that jazz, and the suffering of people really kind of grates me. I can't, right? I'm very, very emotional that way, extremely sensitive, so I would make for a horrible doctor. I would always cry whenever I'm dealing with patients, and I would probably just kind of, stand back and get all squeamish, nauseated whenever I'm gazing at all of their many issues. So medicine could not really work out for me. Biochemistry for no other purpose than the fact that I was shallow. I didn't get into that because I wanted to be killing it with beautiful outfits, and I felt like that lab coat just destroyed my swagger. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I didn't get into it. But I do love pathology. I do love diagnosis. I do love studying, basically researching, finding things out, learning, unraveling them, and then applying them to a human healing circumstance, an environment where it is that you can patch up a broken thing, and so therefore have enabled something to go from broken to better. I am a patcher. I am a fixer. That's who I am. But medicine, and I do love anatomy. I do love the human body. I do love how we function, how we operate, because it makes me awe-inspired. It keeps me awe-inspired at the handiwork of our King, Jesus. God, I am fascinated by the female phenotype. I am fascinated by the male phenotype. I am fascinated by the differences therein. I look at human beings in a way that most people don't. I like just the curvature, the nuances, the differences between men and women are fascinating to me. And the way that they, from children, grow into that also fascinates me. So I would have been great in a medical profession or a profession that involves human anatomy, but because of my squeamishness, I did not get into it. So the best way to deal with these fascinating human beings, to enable them along, was to then deal with their life issues, their psychological issues, their mental issues, because I can't deal with their physical issues because that's too terrorizing to my nausea. So I didn't get into medicine, but then Jesus saved me. And when he got me all born again, I then realized that I can still basically be a physician just for spiritual matters, mental matters, blah, blah. I've already done a video speaking about that already. This is not that video, okay? I've explained the way in the world I was supposed to be. But I did not come to learn that first and foremost before I got born again. And secondly, my desire for patching human beings back together again, or their structures that are falling apart, was already manifest, even not so much before I got born again, but while I was born again, however, working in corporate Africa, in my desire to become a management consultant. But then I was uprooted out of that space and nothing else gave. Now I had to go and find my way around these streets to figure out what to do, seeing as people decided to kick me out of corporate South Africa. I had to figure some other thing out, okay? Yeah, but like I said, when I was in corporate, the thing that made me discover what it is that I wanted to do was working with people that were doing what I wanted to do. In and of myself, I was shut out of the kingdom of certain colleagues that I wanted to desperately be a part of. And so what did I do? Close to even finishing my degree, I could have just graduated 1 year, but I didn't. Why? I changed my electives at varsity. I was studying part-time, and I made a decision to just take up from like first year marketing. I decided to see if I can maybe finish off corporate finance and investments. I decided that I'm gonna try to see if I can take up certain electives from a late stage, having already amassed for myself all these other subjects, because I realized that now I know what I want. And this happened in my late 20s. I studied from the time I came out of high school, with only a break of 2 years in the middle because my mom wasn't paying my fee, so I had to drop out of school. Then returned to varsity to just be studying. I was like studying all throughout my 20s. I was studying except for 2 years. Yeah. So for me to not be enveloped by books, it's just, I don't understand what's going on right now, right? This is a weird little life for me. I'm very academic. Anyway, whatever. The reason why my degree took so long for me to finally graduate was because I was indecisive. And coming to Christ at 26 and a half gave me a deeper purpose. But the observation of certain people's work in corporate South Africa then gave me a deeper longing for a certain kind of career path based on watching other people do their jobs. So I was happy to start basically from internship level at the bottom or somewhere. I imagined that project management was going to enable me to branch into spaces, okay? I decided that I wanted to steer into some kind of a consulting, management consulting in particular space, insights gathering, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, diagnostics for corporates. To just figure out what the heck is wrong with you so we can fix you already though, so you don't have to get liquidated. I wanted that kind of a job. I wanted to be a fixer like Olivia Pope, but instead of fixing presidents, I wanted to fix companies that were at the end of themselves, about to bleed out, about to breathe their last, kicking the last kicks of a dying horse. I wanted to be the person to bring such organizations back from the precipice of death for a country like South Africa that's actually facing international investment expulsion or extraction, a nation that's facing so much international scrutiny for all the wrong reasons, about to lose all of the might and girth that people want to invest in the country. For them to do this to a person that wants to put back into her country's economy, or that wanted to at some point, right now I literally don't care about South Africa, okay? Someone that wanted to put back into a nation's economy, literally entrepreneurs that were going to no longer be entrepreneurs, but be subjugated to the tyranny of a 9-to-5 where you are tethered by some silly boss. I wanted to beef up businesses and re-energize, or what do you call this, like I wanted to have a consultancy and be the kind of consultant that would bring dying companies from the precipice of death, so as to not have them have to exit. The economy, what does that do for the economy of the country in totality? Hello, invigorated. It defibrillates it. It brings it back from the precipice of crazy death. Okay, but then I was kicked out of corporate South Africa by indiscretions. I was kicked out of corporate South Africa by persecution, harassment, abuse. I was maligned, I was harassed, and for a whole decade I have endured people absolutely, literally chokeholding me, ascertaining that I'd never ever get back together again for no other reason but their shallow, purposeless, vapid, vacuous ideals. On one hand, I've got licentious, misogynistic, monolithic, crazy, occult men that want me to merely give them fellatio, that want me to merely be their side piece, their mistresses, their nyatsi, their little second wives, isitembu, whatever. Just silly, purposeless, vapid. Like I said, it's just absolutely vacuous. It's empty, it's hollow, it's naught, it's ash. They want me in that capacity where I'm on my knees giving some diseased man fellatio, and then out here leaving that environment with oral herpes. That's what they want on this side. And then there are women on this side that insist that that be my future. where seeing as I won't have sex before marriage, I guess fellatio will do. No matter. The oral herpes that I'm going to get out of that too. Cool. So these shallow extremes of women that want me to fall apart at the hands of worthless men and worthless men. Right next to, inspired by nothing but on the side of women is jealousy, on the side of men it's entitlement, and also to a certain extent jealousy. They have taken a person with a very deep, poignant, important, girthy, meaty purpose and seen it fit to put her on her knees, giving a man fellatio that has all different kinds of STDs that he's also going to put in my mouth. They want me in the silly, finished off state because they figured that seeing as Corpus of Africa successfully kicked me out and I was not able to restore myself, that they can then, by attrition, just in a severity of excruciating force, ultimately get me on my knees, giving some ugly idiot that kind of service, that kind of pleasure. Hedonistic, as they are described in 2 Timothy 3, lovers of pleasure, rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof. These men, when they listen to me, suffer from a severity of castration anxiety because they never ever graduated from that psychosocial stage of childhood development as theorized by Sigmund Freud, because of the fact that they've always only ever magnified the fact that they have loins at all as the only thing that gives them purpose in this world, as opposed to the recognition of the importance of them being here, built by God, made by the Lord, to protect women, to serve them, to love them as Christ loved the church. They just see their phalluses as the main thing that is to be engrafted into an ecosystem, to therefore lorded over by tyranny over the female generation. So they are literally latching onto castration anxiety at most. They are scared that women are going to take over their power. And in the least, they are determined to utilize what they imagine to be the girth they have because of their fallacies against women. So they use sex literally to punish women, and they try to make women do what women don't want to do because of this like castration anxiety fixation. I told you that psychology, and I've been saying this time and time again in my content, whilst facets of it is not godly, these men and women who theorize these things were searching the earth out, just as it is written in God's word that is the glory of the Lord to conceal a matter, and the glory of kings is to search it out. So human beings figure stuff out, but unfortunately, like Nebuchadnezzar, they never acknowledge the source of this knowledge to be God. So they are made to eat grass for like 7 years, and so many theorists, many psychologists of old that have come and gone have indeed successfully theorized the human condition, but without attributing it to total depravity. They have not gone on right ahead to attach our lackluster general way of being to the fact that we are born dead in trespasses and sins, and since our parents conceive us, and so therefore find the solution in no other but the second Adam, otherwise known as Jesus Christ. So Freud did not find Christ, neither did Skinner or Herzog, etc. They did not find with theories of motivation. They did not necessarily theorize and Maslow with his hierarchy of needs. They did not theorize that the solution for mankind is to be recovered to their maker, and that's why there's all these holes within the human condition. They decided to find other things to cope with the earth. So I don't write off, I don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. When it comes to psychology, they have literally pinned certain things down and they're right. However, they have not, like I said, linked themselves to God, and so therefore they don't have the full story, only partially. So I can easily throw their theories into my explanations over here. However, finish this race with biblicality, with the scriptures, right? So Freud, with his castration anxiety and penis envy in the second phase of childhood development, is it the second? I think there's the oral, and then there is the anal, and then there is the phallic phase, the third phase of childhood development. In this phallic phase, there is like a syndrome called castration anxiety, and for women it's called penis envy, where it is that women want to load it over women's, if they don't move past that fixation, they want to load it over men with their iron fist, not load it over men, sorry, but they want to take their authority, while men want to load it over us with an iron fist. So if you don't graduate past that fixation, otherwise known as Freud calls it a fixation, I call it a stronghold. It is written in God's word that we must demolish arguments and every lofty pretension that exalts itself above the knowledge of the Most High, and then we hold into captivity every thought to the obedience of Jesus Christ. And that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but are mighty in God for what? The pulling down of strongholds. So I call not an oral fixation, but a fixation to the phallic stage of childhood development called penis envy. I call it not penis envy and castration and anxiety. I call it, as opposed to a fixation, I call it a stronghold, a bond, something that's just held you hostage to certain satanic ways of existing, without necessarily graduating past them from the time you're a child, because you have not been trained God for a minute, like ever since then. And if you don't, as an adult, literally go out of your way to correct this human condition through Christ, you will always just perpetually keep on perusing the doors, the annals, the corridors of psychologists trying to fix your issues without Christ. He is the heavenly physician for good purpose. He is the be-all and end-all of fixer of all things. And if you don't go to him proper, you're just gonna die with penis envy and castration anxiety, however imaginative of the fact that you saw someone for it, okay? You will always be a misogynistic guy. You will always be a misandric woman. You will always be an irresponsible, role-disregarding woman that out here is trying to be the guy and lord it over and sexually revolutionize yourself to a point of promiscuity and think that it's okay for women to be that promiscuous, not that it's okay for men to be that way, but it's especially frowned upon when women do it, etc. You will just keep thinking that you are creating solutions for your penis envy or your castration anxiety or whatever might be the fixation or otherwise known as stronghold that you are suffering from, using earthly solutions only for you to just die and go to hell in the end. And I'm trying to basically bridge that gap that Freud left a gargantuan yawning, like proper canyonic vortex twisting in the middle of a bridge, like that big fat chunky bridge that has no solid ground to walk on, otherwise known as Jesus. He's the way, the truth, the life, and no one comes to the Father except through him. I'm trying to give people that ladder. I'm trying to give people that rod, that bridging gap. I'm trying to give people that stepping stone, but you are rejecting it like no man's business. Okay, cool beans and bananas. So having then spoken about that, these crazy men that are suffering from the severity of castration anxiety, strongman bondage, are feeling emasculated by my utter and sheer voluminous, violent, and absolutely voluptuous rejection of their using my nether regions, like I'll show you mine and if you show me yours. Like they're there for the playing with, like because of their castration anxiety, they want to hammer me on the head like they're Thor or whatever, with all of the might of the strings they can pull. They use their manhood, sex, in order to incarcerate women who reject them. The rejection of which they're not even taking stock to sort of kind of retract backwards a little bit and realize that this woman is not rejecting you just because you are rejected, just for the sake of rejecting you. She's rejecting you because, frankly, while Adam, you were created, we will acknowledge that first, to be honored and called Lord Small L by Eve, for Eve to be a helper suitable to you, and so you are her head. At the end of the day, you were indeed just that, created by the be-all and end-all of the ultimate authority, whose name is Jesus Christ. He has given you a batch. He has given you a batch of precepts by which to order your life. Live, right? He has given you prescriptions as to how to roll out your life, are absent of honoring them, of which you then fall short of the glory of God. Upon realizing that you fall short, he then gave himself as a propitiation and substitution, and then said, if you come into my house, you will know that you're my disciple because you bear fruit. And so he puts his Holy Spirit in you, and then you strive against the body of death, and you therefore intentionally go to war with the fact that your flesh is trying to ignore what your God will much rather have you do. Or rather, the God that is supposed to be your God, but you have rather chosen Satan for a daddy, okay? Cool beans and bananas, right? So you are created, Adam, by God, and Eve was made next. He did make it clear after you fell that you from now on are going to try and lord it over your wife with an iron fist, and your woman is going to desire you by any means necessary, to a point of being a crazy idolater out here throwing other women to the whims of men's castration anxiety. Unfortunately, do you understand what I'm saying? Like women are just supporting men that are breaking the very fabric of society apart, shattering even women. Like men that are the destruction of societies at the expense of girl children and women. And women are helping men to decimate the female population in this capacity. That is a byproduct, a result of the fall, because the woman will so desire men's affection, the woman will so desire Adam's love, that she will pull in favors for him even at the expense of the entire female population. Entire. To a point where in certain sects, they will then commence a matriarchy, do you understand? Where women who are sick and tired of misogynistic men with their castration anxiety, bullying, beefy demeanor, will then literally feministically try to cool the male structure, create a matriarchy instead of a patriarchy, and so dishevel God's entire order of how we ought to be functioning in these streets. Problematic to try and deal with things that way. So what I am rejecting you for is the fact that you have rejected our be-all and end-all of patriarch, the be-all and end-all of final authority. You have rejected what God will have you be and do. how he will have you be, and what he will have you do. And so therefore, granted that Adam, albeit me, being underneath you, to honor you and obey your little rules with a small L for Lord, calling you that. I have no prerogative to actually be honoring anything that you're out here trying to do when you have no regard for the final authority, the be-all and all, your creator, proper, the Alpha and the Omega. If at all you are antagonistic to the Alpha and the Omega, I am in no insubordinating position to have no regard for the fact that you are feeling emasculated by my rejection of you, because you are waving money, you are waving favors that you pull in with all of your damn billions, your millions. There is a billionaire all up in my grill right now, and he has done a strange thing. Yes, in you are going to die. But anyway, whatever. Let me just say this. You go and you wave your money, which Ajir is the tantamount of your monolithic phallus. It is standing strong, erect, on the side of a woman that wants nothing to do with it. I am anticipated to Ajir be stroking it up and down because, like the fallen Eve that is yet to embrace the second Adam, and so submit under Jesus Christ, all that women in the world do. And therefore what is desired of me to do is pant, salivate, out your lick, up and down like it is a sweetie. Do you understand? At the mercy, the toes off, right? Be at the mercy of, the toes off, this crazy man that has no honor for the God of the universe. Listen, it's written in God's word that if God be for us, who can be against us? Literally nobody. So Bailey, with all of your crazy persecution of my person, but I have chosen right. I've chosen the second Adam, and if he's for me, can't nobody be against me. And just like Elisha, my eyes pop open every single time you persecute me so voluminously. You have to recognize, okay, that those who are with me are more numerous than those who are with you. That even though you might have a whole bunch of money, millions, frankly, to flail around and bribe all of crazy bribable YouTube. And I say bribable YouTube because it is not YouTube in totality as a company. How about that? Like that? Literally, you are crazy little dastardly dusty moles that are doing a strange, ominous thing. You cannot erase me from the face of the earth. It is absolutely impossible. If the Lord has seen it fit to do something, you cannot undo it. Mamela, the Lord is the one that decrees, not me. And so if the Lord has decreed a certain thing, it's written in God's word that if the Lion of the tribe of Judah has roared, who can but prophesy? So if at all you have been sent to prophesy in the name of Jesus Christ, you will prophesy. Whether or not somebody has got a bone to pick with your prophesying, bottom line is you will speak even if Jehoiakim and your Jeremiah makes a decision to burn your scroll. Bottom line is the word of the Lord will go out and it will fulfill its purpose. So if I am not supposed to be exsanguinated from the face of the earth, extincted, annihilated altogether, understand, no such annihilation of my person will happen. I need to pee, and then we'll continue with this discussion. I'm back. Okay. Yeah, look, I was speaking about castration anxiety. My rejection of certain men is not based on my own pomp, my own delusion of grandeur, my own aggrandizing, my own self-elevation, my own pomp. My rejection is inspired by no other but the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, who said, flee from sexual immorality, flee from sin, leave worthless ways behind, embrace me. If at all anybody calls themselves my disciple and they walk in the darkness, they lie. And the truth of God is not in them. That is in the book of 1 John. I am essentially what we call a Bible-believing Christian, but we are not very popular now, are we? It is written in John 15 that the world hates disciples. It is also written in the Lord's word that perilous times in the last days are going to come, and people are going to be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, etc. They're basically going to be so crazy hedonistic and so incredibly persistent, forceful, that the times would be called perilous. And we are implored as the body of Christ, when we're going through all this nonsense in the last days, to pretty much endure to the end, because times are going to get rough. In the book of Revelation, after the rapture, where I'm not going to be available, but pretty much during the tribulation, the situation gets so bad, so crazy bad, the situation, that we are even implored to, this calls for the perseverance of the saints, that if you must go in the midst of all of this persecution by a hedonistic society that is entitled to your body, that is entitled to your soul and your spirit and your mind, your very girth, your very essence, to just usurp it, sap it dry, pulverize it as like a powder. In the spirit of taking this thing, you must be prepared to pretty much perish holding fast to my name. If it is to the sword you must go, then to the sword do go. If it is to persecution you must go, then to the persecution you must go. To famine, go to famine. If you must die by pestilence, then die by pestilence, but you must endure, because it is he who endures to the end that will be saved. There is an insistence upon endurance of the saint. There is an insistence upon perseverance of the saint, and the Lord has forewarned us, and so therefore we are he has a forewarning is forearmed, and so he has forearmed us. He has given us a strength for what work he has begun in us. He will finish it. When he gives you a decree to do a certain thing, he will then give you necessarily the strength, the measure of grace that you need in order to walk in it, to fulfill it. So that is why Christians can lose so very much. If at all they're truly indwelt by the Holy Spirit, they can lose literally everything and still make like Job and say, naked I have come into this world, naked shall I exit. God gave, now God has taken away, yet blessed be in the name of the Lord. In all that Job does, he does not sin. Do you understand what I'm saying? It is absolutely possible because it is supernatural. It is not of our own doing. It is not in our own strength that we reject the world when we have nothing left to ourselves, when we have been utterly exsanguinated, when the last jot and tittle, when the last iota of blood has been drained from our systems. The only reason we walk around is because we are such supernatural beings that the Lord has seen it fit to bring forth like Lazarus. So we walk around as emptied people, as in depleted, diminished, and still nonetheless have a bright spark in our eye, for in his presence is fullness of joy. We walk around able to continue to prophesy and have faith, which is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen, that can move a mountain, tiny be it as a mustard seed. We do that because we have truly believed. And when you believe in the Lord, miracles will follow you, including the miracle of being able to walk around as an exsanguinated body, be out here with a beating heart that is not out here pulsating through its veins, blood, but just mere air, and yet you are nonetheless walking, because it is not by your might and not by your strength, but by the power of God that you do anything at all. This here, however, is the stuff of forehead creasing. For those who are making an observation, those who are looking inward into the circumstance, you crease your foreheads and you wonder, what in the world is a woman holding on to? Do you not see that there is no God? But that is just the thing over there. It is not of us, but the power of God that we come through. So you pump us up, we bear more fruit when you cut us. Do you understand what I'm saying? And in so holding on to God, it is anticipated that insofar as you can just increase the pressure even more. What the heck have you done? Like, proper deleting my entire YouTube channels? Like, you think that I'm gonna walk away from God when Satan has been proven to be so prolific in being wicked? Listen. There is a man in existence, but there is a man on earth by the name of Andrew Tate. I'm not a fan of Andrew Tate. I'm not at all, even in the slightest, because he's one of those flexing his muscle, suffering severely from castration anxiety. But I will give Andrew Tate this one thing. He perused the things of God and is out here penduluming between Islam and Christianity, essentially unprepared to let go of the concept of God, the idea of God, for no other reason than the fact that there's literally too much evil in the world for there to not be a God. In other words, a recognition and understanding, noticing at all, as you make observations in the periphery, on the left and on the right, that if at all there was no God, what in the world under heaven else do we have to deal with concerning the just absolute violent incontinence of the human race? There is no end to what we can do. We are totally depraved, born dead in trespasses and sins, and in sins that our parents conceive us. So really and truly, if you can put a cloud of if you can put a smoke screen on yourself of anonymity, if you can put a cloud of anonymity on yourself when you are doing grubby things, you will do the most. There is no end to what human beings can do. And I've spoken about this time and time again. I compare it to the superego, but to the nth degree, almost like beefed up. In Freud's theory of the psyche, in that there is a knowledge, an inherent knowledge, or an understanding by those of us who are of God, that there is something bigger than us that we look at in order to regulate our behavior, and that's why we don't do strange things despite the doors being closed. But people who are nihilistic and ungodly operate within Freud's ego, super ego only, where it is that only society, the eyes of society, essentially scanning your eyes left and right to look at who's looking, watch who's looking, following which you then do the most. Yeah, you see, Freud's theory ends up the superego. I take it one up, beef it up, and say superego squared or even cubed, because God is superego cubed. In other words, there is a force that is perpetually surveilling. He's omnipresent, he's omniscient, he's all over the show. His name is God. He's ubiquitously in occurrence everywhere. He is in the atom, eyes all around. Go and read that description of the living creature with the mini wheel, with the wheels all around it, with the eyes all around it. It literally looks like the shape of an atom if at all you draw it. Evidencing the omnipresence of God. I've already, again, unpacked that. Okay, I've unpacked that. God is everywhere. Yeah. But those who are nihilistic, the fool thinks in his heart there is no God. Those who are nihilistic, in his heart, a man plans his ways, but the Lord establishes his steps, and God also laughs when you plan. Yeah, when you don't say God willing, he then out here throws a curveball all up in your grill. You who are sitting where you are sitting saying, where is your God, like in Psalm 42? You who are sitting where you are sitting, imaginative that insofar as you can put yourself behind the smoke screen, insofar as you can delete an entire freaking YouTube channel, insofar as you can delete an entire YouTube channel, you will literally eliminate prophecy from coming to pass. Are you for real? You think that insofar as you can bully a person and squeeze them into a corner like a rodent in your kitchen, that you do away with an omniscient, so he's all-knowing, and an omnipresent God. In so flexing your penis envy, your castration anxiety, problem that you've got going on in yourself, your fixation, your bondage to the curse of Adam, which is what penis and castration anxiety literally is. The curse of Adam. Adam and Eve actually ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And after that, God gave them all a set of judgments. Eve gonna give birth painfully, and then she's gonna love her husband to the point of idolatry. And Adam is going to have to work by the sweat of his brow, and he's also going to want to lord it over his wife with an iron fist. It manifests in castration anxiety, in that you are going to want to show that you can bash your chest on a mountaintop like King Kong and proliferate your dumb agenda, even though it makes no sense, even though it is ungodly, and use sex to menace women, to debilitate women, to decrepitize women, to massacre the virtue of women, and then say, I got to thrust my phallus in you, even though you are stubborn and Karabo. Yeah, precisely because, the fool says in his heart there is no God. Precisely because the things of God are as foolishness to the man who is perishing. Precisely because you don't believe that if God be for us, who can be against us? Precisely because you are of the imagination that this year is it, this earth that merely commences and then ends, and then everybody just dies and it's like just a flat line. Pelile. Nah, dog, there is a heaven, and so therefore necessarily you must understand there is also a hell. There is a perpetuating spirit that continues to linger on, albeit your flesh being one with the ground, again ashes to ashes and dust to dust, but look at you go to eternal flames. Do you understand what I'm saying? God exists, and evidence of the fact that he exists is the fact, one of the biggest evidences of the existence of God is just how incredibly diabolical you are. And yet, despite how diabolical you are, the earth literally continues to spin on its axis. Planets are kept in shape in the Milky Way. The sun rises and sets every day. There are executive orders passed by presidents, exchanges of leadership that are to reprieve a people who have been previously oppressed. There are decisions like the one that is being made in Israel right now by, listen to this. Is it Syria? Syria, right? Is it Syria or Iran? I stand corrected. One of the countries in the Middle East. After October 7, alright, may the Lord bless the soul of Amir Safari, which is where I got this 411. One of the nations in the Middle East are so exhausted with Islamist terrorism ever since October 7, right, that they now are asking Israel to be their patrons. Israel to be their patrons because they can't deal with Islamist jihad. Just when you're thinking the rapture is going to happen tomorrow. Just when you're thinking that literally Gog and Magog, Ezekiel 37, 38, 39 is about to happen any minute now. Because of the just absolute cup of trembling that Jerusalem is in the Middle East, and how it is that all the nations that are encircling it are wreaking all this havoc and want nothing to do with Israel. Just when you imagine that anti-Semitism cannot reach a grander height than what it is that at present, you're then dealing with actual citizens, civilians inside Syria, inside Iran, out here literally saying, look, I don't care what you got to say about Allah, ABC, whatnot. Bottom line is, there is no single force, diplomatic force in the Middle East right now that is more appropriate to be our patrons than Israel, because right now you are terrorizing us as civilians inside Syria, and we can't deal with you, so we want, as a population, did you ever imagine this day ever coming, as a population, for Israel to be our patrons? Since October 7, there's just been more devastation to the actual civilians on the ground, and yet in those Middle Eastern countries, despite the decimation in Lebanon of Hezbollah and all that jazz, you've got civilians in those countries on some be our patron Israel because we're sick and tired of war. They've got war fatigue, evidencing that yes, while Jerusalem might be a very heavy stone for all the surrounding nations and a staggering cup, and all who would heave it away will be surely cut to pieces. We have not arrived at such a crazy time in history so as to eventuate as in tomorrow. Ezekiel 38:39, saying that there's a little bit of time left, right? Just when we thought it was over because of America's indiscretion, Trump goes and takes on, wins by a landslide, for crying out loud. The reigns in the US and gains popularity that he once never used to have, even among certain leftist celebrities who then moved from that camp and joined him. Look at how Snoop Dogg was out at the inauguration of Donald Trump, whereas he did a little parody skit, like some caricature, funny little weird thing that he did against Trump some other day. Yeah, in the first campaign against Trump, the first time that Trump was out in the Oval Office, the second time around Trump was performing for Donald Trump at his inauguration. That's the level of mind change that's happened in the US. It's miraculous because of the indiscretion of Joe Biden, because of how crazy he was. People realize that, okay, look, like we can't just keep making like Sia and swinging on a chandelier like this. We need leadership that's actually going to get us on the right track. Yeah, that's what happened in the US. And then there's the whole issue with Greenland, right? The fact that Donald Trump wants to take it over just like he wants to take over Gaza. That's problematic, but that's another story coming for another day. Okay, they voted by a landslide for America to essentially, something that was within Trump's vision all these times already. Trump again won Greenland over by a landslide. In other words, people are so sick and tired of crazy leadership. They're so sick and tired of terror, of tyranny, that things that you never thought are going to be reinvigorated, that beat the hearts that no one ever thought would ever beat again, are now beating again. Evidencing that God is literally awarding the planet grace from the planet's historical indiscretion. Do you understand? We are seeing it in Israel, where Middle Eastern populations that were at enmity with Israel are literally wanting Israel to be patrons to their nation because the terroristic Islamic Jihad, all up in that gangster joint, is wreaking so much havoc in the lives of mere civilians that Makatete and look at South Africa out to taking Israel to the ICC or whatever, ICJ or whatever, International Criminal Court, in order to accuse it of genocide. And now Netanyahu can't freely travel across the world or he's going to get arrested because of South Africa's indiscretion in that regard. A president that is apparently out to committing genocide has got people dwelling in those regions literally seeking his people out to be patrons against the actual true terrorists. That is evidence of God giving the earth time, grace, essentially reprieving a world of crazy nutbags that are literally trying to make the world end as in tomorrow, while nobody is ready for that because people are happy to negotiate. People are happy to give peace. You see, it's written in God's word that a broken and a contrite spirit he will not despise, and that if a man's ways are pleasing to the Lord, he will make his enemies to live at peace with him. So if God is still making enemies of the church to live at peace with them, enemies of Israel to live at peace with them, it means there is still time left here on the earth. But people